If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. In addition to that, Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many other platforms. Why not check it out today? Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Good day, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So, I was not going to do this today. However, during my time of studying, during my time of reading, I just wanted to chit chat. It's just a little conversation. And it all sums up to it's so important to read. Reading really can change your life. I may have mentioned it in other episodes. And honestly, you know what? That's what this is going to be more so about. It's a conversation about reading. In your free time, start reading. And if you don't like to read, listen. Do an audiobook. I say that because that's how we're going to win together. That's something that is very important, and we take it for granted. We take it lightly. We don't take it seriously. And we really should. Reading is cheap. It's cheaper than taking some classes. And it's definitely something that is important because, if you don't read, then where are you getting your knowledge from? How are you stimulating your brain? How are you creating a healthier brain? How are you changing? How are you exploring? What are you doing? Where is the input coming from? In other words, are you filling your free time with just music? If so, what kind of music? What are the lyrics? What is the message? What is the tone? What is the beat? So, back to reading. Words and literature are not only stories most of the time, but they're experiences. Some are good, some are bad. Some can teach you how to be great, and some can teach you how to be great by avoiding doing that very thing. I just say it because people act as if books are boring or reading is torture. Sometimes it can be if you read the wrong things. I did share in one of my videos. It could have been Reboot, or I forgot. I don't know. Reboot been on my head because that's where I have to keep visiting daily, honestly. And what was I saying? The whole idea of reading scares people because they're not reading what they're interested in. I never was a person to fiction. My girlfriends would all try to give me a book and be like, oh, read this, girl. This is the new one by such and such. And I'm sorry, it's not an insult to those authors, writers, or anyone that enjoys fiction. However, it's not for me. And I learned that. And once I started reading nonfiction, I realized I love to read. I am passionate about reading. Reading is my stuff. And I say that that can be for anyone that's trying to change their life. And it's actually a key to changing your life, because yeah, you're going to take a class here or there because you learned that, self-investment is definitely a must. Now, with that self-investment, you're basically reading somebody else's curriculum, somebody else's lineup of literature for you to understand that thing that you're learning. So I encourage you, even in your free time, read. It definitely, or find out what you like reading. If it's not the fiction books, if it's not a lot of nonfiction, maybe pick the subject that you're interested in walking into, whether it be law. Say you can't go to law school right now. Okay, we'll start reading books about law. Start to, be your own teacher. Like, I learned something very valuable, and that is, what was it? How did the quote go? It was, don't be a follower, but learn. It was something like that. Like, don't, pretty much the formula of not being a follower is to teach yourself, is to learn. Not necessarily to teach. No, don't get it twisted, because everybody always want to show somebody how to do something, which we're supposed to, but it has to be in context. You have to apply it to self first. And I say that to say, learning is what keeps you growing. It's what keeps you going, and that comes through reading and hearing. So that's more of the overview. I mean, I'm not going to talk for long, but the whole idea of transforming and winning and changing your life and walking into your purpose is learning with those that have come before you have done. Somebody's already done it. And if they haven't done it, that means that you still got to take those basic steps to get to that breaking point of you doing it. And reading is definitely something that will help. It helps me. Like, I love it. When I'm in that lonely building place where it's like, people can't be around me right now, but what am I supposed to do? Should I waste this time and just enjoy pleasure, or should I start switching my pleasures into passions, into purpose? And I started doing that by reading. Like, I started reading discipline books. I started reading, what else? Money, baking, home decor. Like I said, I'm about that nonfiction life. Like, fiction for me, I feel like I could put on a cartoon, and I like The Simpsons, so I could watch The Simpsons if I wanted fiction. So I'd rather read to grow. And I'm not knocking those, because some of my friends are like amazing readers, and I'd be excited. I'd be like, oh my goodness, maybe I should get the book. But then I'm like, I'm not gonna read it. So, but yeah, if fiction is your thing, read. You will get something out of it, whether it be learning how to express your imagination, or whether it's learning how to write better, or it's different things. Like, I know for me, nonfiction is my teacher. Sometimes I can't afford classes, so I'm like, okay, let me find the best book with the best ratings, with people talking about it, and read it and get what I get from it. So and for those that believe and worship Yah and believe in the same Father that I believe in, it kind of piggybacks off of the message that I had talked about, or I should say not message, but the episode that was about either you are or you're not. And I had kind of touched on how Christ always spoke in parables. And it's so true. And this scripture is the one that, always blesses me, because it's not for everybody, or everybody's not going to receive it the same way. So as you receive something, or receive word, literature, read, hear, as for you, and it's going to be received or stick or not stick. It all depends, but pretty much Matthew 13 was like super powerful, because read it for yourself. And speaking in parables right now, this is a little on topic / off topic, but parables is kind of necessary. And if you listen to the way that people communicate in today's time, we're speaking in parables. Either it's for you or it's not for you. And I honestly feel like this is, my opinion, MsLalexis, my opinion. I honestly feel that speaking in parables is like a whole language in itself. Like it and it's for those that are speaking the same language. Like, man, it's deep. And I'm about to go there. Like, I haven't really read on here before, but this is my show, so welcome. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry, it's not for you. But yeah, Matthew 13. The same day went Jesus out of the house and sat by the seaside, and great multitudes were gathered together unto him, so that he went into a ship and sat. Actually, no, I don't want to go there. We're going to start at 3. And he spake many things unto them in parables, saying, Behold, a sower went forth to sow. And when he sowed, some seeds fell by the wayside, and the fowls came and devoured them. Some fell upon stony places, where they had not much earth. And forthwith they sprung up, because they had no deepness of earth. And when the sun was up, they were scorched, and because they had no root, they withered away. And some fell among thorns, and the thorns sprung up and choked them. But others fell into good ground and brought forth fruit, some an 100-fold, some 60-fold, some 30-fold. Who hath ears to hear, let them hear. And the disciples came and said unto him, Why speakest thou unto them in parables? He answered and said unto them, Because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. So it's a gift. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's a language that we can have amongst one another, I personally feel. And, that's how he talked. Like, everybody wasn't supposed to get it, because not only is it for protection, but it's also a gift. Like, so I just say that to say I'm excited, because as you continue to read, because I paralleled this to go back on more topic, is I paralleled this text to basically learning how can I put it? I'm trying to not be so deep. But yeah, the parables are definitely, that's like the worst. And I just had that moment where you had a thought and then that thought went to the side. And I'm like, okay, it needs to come back, because the fact that, you have seeds that fall on different grounds. And I paralleled it to the importance of reading, because seeds are the word. And words have value. Like, words and experiences written out or communicated amongst, it can change your life. So, I do apologize for that strong pause, but I had to really just sit back and think about what I was trying to say and not allow the enemy to steal that from me. So I'm thankful for that. But yeah, get into your word. And, if you're not sure what to read, of course, because I love the Father that I serve, and I feel that his word is amazing. Read his books. He's got 66 of them. Read them. They're awesome. Like, in addition to, reading about the parables and the seeds, I never looked at the book of Hosea like I looked at the book of Hosea today. I was like, what? No way it's that amazing. And no way that the God we serve, those that serve the same God I serve, loves us that much. The book of Hosea is where it's at. Like, and women, you may get upset about it, because I was a little salty, because I'm like, dang, God really paralleled this man's family. This man was basically married to a female that was not sold out. Basically, he was married to a messy female. God said, marry her. God told that man, marry her. And he married her. They had 3 children. Their 3 children were named based upon the position of where God's heart was towards us, his people. And she basically gave him a hard time, even though, God gave her favor by giving her a covering. And he was very passionate about what God had to say, because he knew he was, a minor prophet doing what God said for him to do. People looked at him like he was crazy. People looked at him like he was super extra. And he still continued to fight. It kind of reminds me of more, like, kind of with the situation with Job a little bit, where it was like, why are you doing all of that? And then you're losing everything in the process, all to worship your God. Who is this God? While everybody else was worshiping what they saw. They were worshiping idols. They were worshiping money. They were worshiping everything but God. And here it is, this man's life was an actual sacrifice for the God that he served. So long story short, the woman, she was, blown because he had to leave and go take care of the father's business. While he was taking care of the father's business, she gets tempted by her past, because before her past tempted her, she fell into like a deep kind of, daydream stance, thinking about what life was like before, pretty much. And long behold, something from her past, and mind you, she was a hoe, so I don't like to say it that way, but she was fast, she was quick, she was one of the dancers in the, at the place, the Kingdom Palace, wherever she was at. I forget the beginning of it, far as what king reigned and all that stuff at the time. You can read it for yourself, but I'm just kind of summing it up based off of what I got out of it. And what's amazing is she left and she sold her kids. She was like, my kids can go to the world. I don't need to take care of them. I want to do things the worldly way. So I'm going to give my kids back to the world. I'm going to sell them off. I'm going to reap the money off of my kids. And then I'm going to go back to my past with this man that is not a part of really my purpose and not a part of who Well, actually, it was a part of the plan because God was trying to illustrate to us what happens when we go back. It's nothing back there. It's absolutely nothing back there. So it's so much to the book of Hosea. Like it. Just the story alone is amazing. The overview story, but there's so many lessons in the middle of it. But I say that to say, yeah, so while she's being foolish and told her kids, her husband, while she's being adulterous, she out here tripping, her husband is really out here fighting for the kingdom. And he finds out when he comes home that she decided to leave. And, he comes home, he sees the reality of it, and he's like, wow, really? But then this is the love that our Father has for us as his bride, because when he found out that she knew she messed up and she ended up being back in slavery, the guy basically took her money and ran. And he finds out and he's like, no, what about my children? What about my wife? And he loved her that much to go get her. And it was such an amazing love story on so many different levels. I was just like, man, I would have missed that if I didn't read it. If I didn't read it for myself. Because if you don't read for yourself, you're literally getting your information and knowledge from other people's summary. And I'm like, I've heard about Hosea before. I've heard scriptures here and there. But I never read the book for myself. And it blessed me. So I just say that to say, if you don't know what else to read your 66 books in your order. Don't, allow the Holy Spirit, as I call the Ruach HaKodesh, to minister to you. And that's it. I ain't trying to be super deep. I just want to encourage somebody to read today. Why not? It can change your life. It changes your mood. And again, like I said, we live in a digital age. Yeah, I feel that reading with your eyes is healthier and you get the better experience because you're allowing your cognitive skills and everything in your brain to just work together because it's a gift to read. However, if you don't have time to sit down and read, because I don't always read books or read from the book. I sometimes do audiobooks. Like, I am an audio fan. Like, I like it because I have the opportunity to hear it. It's narrated. So, yeah, I just say all that to say, read something today. I am going to link this one to YouTube. So if you are watching it on YouTube, put in the comments, like, what are some of your favorite books so that other people can be introduced to good stuff. We can share. We went in together, right? So yeah, put them in the comments what type of books you like to read and why, or just let's talk about it. Pretty much. So, good day.